Year 1984. While most kids were busy playing video games after school, 2-year-old boy was doing something very different. He wasn't playing games. He was building one. Sitting alone in his room for hours, typing lines of code into an old computer, he created his very first video game. Most kids his age didn't understand him. Teachers thought he was unusual. Other students thought he was strange. But the truth was simple. His mind worked differently. That boy would grow up to build rockets, create electric cars, and develop powerful AI technology. Today, he is known as one of the most influential entrepreneurs in the world. This is the story of Elon Musk. Elon Musk was born in 1971 inches, Pretoria, a city in South Africa. His father was a mechanical engineer, and his mother worked as a model and dietitian. From a very young age, Elon was not like other children. Sometimes he would suddenly become completely still. His eyes would stare into space, and he wouldn't respond to anyone around him. His parents were worried. Doctors even believed he might have a hearing problem. But later, they realized something surprising. During those strange moments, Elon wasn't disconnected from the world. His brain was simply working at full power. While others were talking or playing, his mind was busy imagining machines, inventions, and complex systems. It was as if there was an entire laboratory inside his head. Books became his best friends. He spent countless hours reading encyclopedias and diving deep into science fiction novels. These stories filled his mind with visions of the future: space travel, advanced technology, and life beyond Earth. One evening, while playing outside with his cousins, someone said she was afraid of the dark. Elon calmly replied, "Darkness is only the absence of light." To him, everything had a logical explanation. But other kids didn't understand that way of thinking. Instead, they saw him as different. And because he was different, he became a target. At school, Elon was severely bullied. One day, a group of students attacked him. They pushed him down a flight of stairs and beat him so badly that he had to be hospitalized. For many children, experiences like this would destroy their confidence. But for Elon, the pain did something else. It made him stronger. It taught him how to endure hardship, and it slowly built the resilience that would one day help him survive the brutal world of business and innovation. Up until the age of 8, however, his family life had been peaceful and happy. This photograph comes from those early years, a time before everything began to change. But within just a year, Elon's life changed dramatically. His parents got divorced. While most kids would choose to stay with their mother, Elon made a different decision. He chose to live with his father. Life wasn't easy. He was a quiet, curious child who spent most of his time reading and thinking about the future. Then, at the age of just 10, something happened that would change his life forever. One day, while walking through a shopping mall, Elon saw a computer for the very first time. The machine fascinated him. He couldn't stop thinking about it. He begged his father to buy it for him. Eventually, his father agreed. The computer was extremely simple by today's standards. It had only 5 kilobytes of memory. Along with it came a workbook that taught the basic programming language. Normally, the workbook was designed for beginners to complete in about 6 months. But Elon wasn't a normal kid. He locked himself in his room and studied day and night. In just 3 days, he finished the entire course, barely sleeping as he worked through every lesson. And then he did something even more impressive. In 1984, when he was only 12 years old, Elon created his very first computer program, a video game called Blaster. It was a simple space shooter game where the player controlled a spaceship and destroyed alien ships. But here's the incredible part. Elon didn't just create the game. He sold it to a computer magazine for $500. For a 1-2-year-old kid, that was a huge amount of money. And technically, that moment marked Elon Musk's very first business. As Elon grew older, he began to realize something important. He believed his ambitions were bigger than the environment around him. And in his mind, there was only one place where big dreams like his could truly come to life: America. But getting there wouldn't be easy. So Elon came up with a plan. Because one of his relatives was a Canadian citizen, there was a path for him to move to Canada first. At just 17 years old, Elon left South Africa and moved to Canada alone. Life there wasn't glamorous. He lived with relatives and took on small, tough jobs to support himself, but he never lost sight of his goal. In 1989, his mother and his brother Kimball also moved to Canada. Around that time, Elon got accepted into Queen's University. 2 years later, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. Finally, Elon had reached the country he believed was the land of opportunity. After graduating in 1995, Elon and his brother Kimball decided they didn't want normal jobs. They wanted to build something of their own. At that time, the internet was just beginning to grow, but finding local businesses was still incredibly inconvenient. People had to search through thick paper directories to find stores, restaurants, or services. And if they wanted directions, they had to rely on paper maps or ask strangers. Elon saw a huge opportunity. He asked a simple but powerful question. What if all local businesses could be found online? A single website where restaurants, hotels, doctors, and shops were listed in one place, organized by category, and easy for anyone to find. That idea would soon become the foundation of Elon's first real startup. And it was only the beginning of a journey that would eventually lead to companies like PayPal, Tesla, and SpaceX. Elon and his brother Kimball rented a tiny apartment in Silicon Valley. It wasn't glamorous. In fact, it was barely enough to live in. But inside that small space, they were building something big. They called their startup Zip2. During the day, Elon would sit in front of his computer for hours, writing code nonstop. At night, he often slept in the office. Meanwhile, Kimball took a completely different role. He walked the streets, visiting local businesses one by one, convincing shop owners to list their companies on Zip2. Their idea was simple but powerful. An online business directory that also showed directions on a digital map. Today, that sounds normal. But in the mid-1990s, this was revolutionary. Slowly, the hard work started to pay off. Within a year, the small startup began to grow. More employees joined the team. The platform became better, and businesses started signing up faster than before. Soon, Zip2 began building software solutions for major companies and newspapers. Investors noticed the opportunity. First, the company secured $3 million in funding. Later, another $50 million investment followed. Zip2 was no longer a tiny startup. By 1999, the internet boom was exploding, and large corporations were racing to acquire promising tech companies. That's when Elon Musk's company received a massive offer. Computer giant Compaq decided to acquire Zip2 for $307 million. Elon owned a significant share of the company. When the deal closed, he personally received $22 million. Just like that, at only 27 years old, Elon Musk became a multi-millionaire. Most people would have stopped there. They would buy a nice house, expensive cars, and retire early. But for Elon, this was just the beginning. In fact, the success of Zip2 was less than 1% of what he would eventually achieve. Business transition, sponsor section, more natural. By the way, if you run a business or dream of starting one, remember something important. Having a great product alone doesn't guarantee success. Running a business also means handling many daily tasks. Sending invoices, managing finances, tracking sales, hiring employees, maintaining customer relationships. Doing all of this with separate tools can quickly become complicated. That's why many companies today use Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management platform that offers more than 45 integrated apps designed to run every part of your business. With Odoo, you can create invoices, manage accounting, track inventory, build websites, manage marketing campaigns, handle sales and customer relationships. And the best part? Everything works together inside one system. For example, when you create an invoice, your accounting records update automatically. When you record a sale, your inventory updates instantly. And your customer's information is saved directly in your CRM. Even better, you don't need to buy separate software for each feature. All the apps are included in one affordable subscription. And to get started, their first app is completely free for life. But before we continue the story, a quick message for entrepreneurs and business owners. If you want to digitize and manage your business operations more efficiently, you can sign up on Odoo using the link in the description or the pinned comment. Now, back to the story. During his college years, while working as an intern at Nova Scotia Bank, Elon Musk noticed something strange about the banking industry. Everything moved painfully, slowly. Most systems were outdated, and almost every service still required physical paperwork and visits to a bank branch. Elon immediately saw an opportunity. He believed the future of finance would live entirely on the internet. His idea was bold: a digital bank where people could send money, make payments, invest, borrow, and manage savings all online without ever stepping into a physical bank. In 1999, Elon invested $12 million of his own money and launched X.com, an online financial services company. But there was one major problem. At that time, people barely trusted the internet. Online shopping itself was still new, so the idea of putting your money in an online bank felt extremely risky to most people. Convincing customers to sign up was incredibly difficult. So Elon came up with a bold and unusual strategy. He offered $20 for free to every new user who joined the platform. On top of that, users could earn an additional $10 for every friend they referred. It sounded almost too good to be true, but it worked. The strategy spread like wildfire, and within just 2 months, X.com had attracted over 200,000 users. However, Elon was not the only entrepreneur chasing this vision. At the same time, another ambitious founder, Peter Thiel, had launched a competing digital payment company called PayPal. Both companies were burning huge amounts of money on marketing, each trying to dominate the same market. The competition became intense. But by early 2000, both sides realized something important. If they continued this expensive battle, both companies could collapse. So instead of destroying each other, they made a surprising decision. In March 2000, X.com and PayPal merged. Elon Musk became the largest shareholder and the CEO of the new company. The company kept the name X.com at first. But after the merger, tensions inside the company quickly began to grow. Elon strongly believed the brand should remain X.com, while many employees and customers preferred the name PayPal, which they felt was clearer and easier to trust. There were also disagreements about Elon's leadership style. He was known for pushing his team extremely hard. He micromanaged projects, demanded extremely fast results, and openly criticized employees when things went wrong. Tasks that usually took days, sometimes weeks, were expected to be finished in just hours. Then, in the middle of all this chaos, Elon got married to his longtime girlfriend Justine. In September 2000, the couple traveled to Australia for their honeymoon. But while Elon was away, something unexpected happened. Some of the company's senior executives and board members decided it was time for a change. Taking advantage of his absence, they voted to remove Elon Musk as CEO. And Peter Thiel was appointed as the new CEO of the company. Even after returning, Elon Musk tried hard to regain control of the company. But things didn't go the way he hoped. The leadership had already changed, and despite his efforts, Elon was unable to take control again. Still, he remained the largest shareholder of PayPal, watching the company grow from the sidelines. Under the leadership of Peter Thiel, PayPal expanded rapidly and became one of the most important companies in online payments. Then in 2002, something huge happened. The e-commerce giant eBay decided to acquire PayPal for $1.5 billion. From that deal alone, Elon Musk personally received about $180 million. At just 30 years old, Elon had already become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. But just when everything seemed perfect, life delivered a heartbreaking tragedy. Elon and his family lost their 5-month-old baby son due to a sudden illness. The loss shattered him. For nearly 3 weeks, Elon couldn't even return home. He simply didn't have the strength to face the empty cradle waiting there. Pain like that changes a person. When Elon was a child, he used to escape bullying by diving into books and computer programming. And now, as an adult facing unimaginable grief, he did the same thing. He buried himself in work. In 2001, Elon began searching again for a new industry that could change the future. But this time, his vision was much bigger. Since childhood, Elon had been fascinated with space. He loved building small rockets and imagining what life beyond Earth might look like. One day, a powerful question came to his mind. Why haven't humans gone to Mars yet? Curious, Elon visited the website of NASA. To his surprise, he discovered something shocking. There were no clear plans to send humans to Mars anytime soon. And in that very moment, Elon made a decision that would change the future of space exploration. If no one else was going to do it, he would. He began meeting some of the world's best rocket scientists and spent countless hours studying rocket engineering. He read so many technical books that, little by little, he began to understand rocket science himself. Soon after, Elon created the Life to Mars Foundation and started a project called Mars Oasis. The goal was simple but powerful. Send a small greenhouse to Mars and grow the first plant on another planet. If the world could see life growing on Mars, Elon believed it would reignite global excitement about space exploration. To make this happen, Elon came up with an unusual idea. He planned to buy old intercontinental ballistic missiles from Russia and convert them into rockets to launch his mission. It sounded crazy. But sometimes, the ideas that sound the craziest are the ones that change the world. When Elon Musk first dreamed about sending humans to Mars, he knew he needed rockets. But building rockets from scratch would cost billions of dollars. So Elon decided to try something simpler first: buying rockets from Russia. In the early 2000s, Elon traveled to Russia with a group of aerospace experts. His plan was straightforward: buy 3 refurbished ballistic missiles for about $20 million. If he could get them cheap enough, he could launch small experiments into space and slowly build toward his dream of reaching Mars. But the meeting didn't go as planned. The Russian engineers didn't take Elon seriously. To them, he looked like a young internet millionaire with no experience in the space industry. Instead of negotiating, they laughed at him. And when they finally gave him a price, it was shocking: $21 million for a single missile, 3 times more than Elon expected. At that moment, Elon realized something important. Buying rockets from Russia was a dead end. The trip was a failure, or at least that's what everyone else thought. On the flight back to the United States, the team sat quietly, disappointed. But Elon wasn't discouraged. He opened his laptop and started calculating. He broke down the cost of building a rocket: raw materials, manufacturing, assembly, and launch. And what he discovered surprised him. The raw materials needed to build a rocket only cost about 2–3% of the final price. That meant the real problem wasn't the materials. The real problem was the way rockets were being built. Traditional aerospace companies used outdated processes, expensive suppliers, and slow manufacturing systems. If someone could redesign the process from the ground up, rockets could become dramatically cheaper. After running the numbers, Elon looked up at his team and said something bold: "We'll build the rockets ourselves." That decision would change the entire space industry. In June 2002, Elon founded SpaceX. He bought a 75,000 square foot warehouse and turned it into a rocket factory. Then he started recruiting the best talent he could find from companies like NASA and Boeing. Their mission was simple but incredibly ambitious: build the fastest, most affordable rockets in the world. To make that happen, Elon changed the way aerospace companies worked. First, he made engineers and manufacturing teams work side by side. Most aerospace companies kept these departments separate, which slowed everything down. But at SpaceX, design and production happened together. That meant problems could be solved instantly. Then came another radical idea: vertical integration. Instead of buying parts from expensive suppliers, SpaceX started building almost everything themselves: engines, fuel tanks, electronics, battery systems. By producing these components in-house, SpaceX could move faster and cut costs dramatically. And Elon noticed something else. Many traditional aerospace companies were paying 2 or even 3 times more for the same rocket parts. To Elon, that made no sense. If rockets could be built cheaper, then space could finally become accessible. And that single idea would eventually turn Elon Musk and SpaceX into one of the most revolutionary forces in the history of space exploration. But Elon Musk had a different vision. He believed rockets didn't need to be insanely expensive. Most space companies were using extremely costly parts, even though the same job could be done with much cheaper components. So Elon made a bold decision. He announced that SpaceX's first rocket would be called Falcon 1. At that time, sending just a 600-kilogram payload into low Earth orbit cost nearly $70 million. Elon promised he could do it for only $7 million. Most experts laughed. Many people in the aerospace industry said it was impossible. But Elon had already set the goal. Falcon 1 would launch within 1 year. Reality, however, was much harder. Engineering problems, testing failures, and endless delays pushed the project back again and again. What Elon thought would take 1 year ended up taking 4 long years. Finally, in 2006, the moment arrived. Standing on the launch pad was a 70-foot silver rocket Falcon 1. Years of work, millions of dollars, and the hopes of the entire team rested on this single launch. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The engines ignited. Flames burst from the bottom of the rocket, and Falcon 1 slowly lifted into the sky. Inside the control room, the SpaceX team erupted with excitement. But the celebration didn't last long. Just 25 seconds after liftoff, something went terribly wrong. A small fuel leak caused a fire near the engine. Within moments, the rocket lost control. Falcon 1 crashed into the ocean. Years of effort were destroyed in less than a minute. Elon and his team watched helplessly as their dream literally burned in front of their eyes. But giving up was never an option. Instead of quitting, the team went straight back to work. They began preparing for launch attempt number 2. Exactly 1 year later, Falcon 1 was ready again. This time, the launch looked perfect. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed. 3 minutes passed. Everything seemed to be working. The first stage separated successfully, which was a huge milestone. But suddenly, the second stage engine shut down too early. Without enough power, Falcon 1 began spinning uncontrollably in the sky. And once again, it crashed. Another failure. Another heartbreaking moment. But Elon believed they were closer than ever. So the team prepared for a third launch attempt. In August 2008, Falcon 1 returned to the launch pad. Everyone held their breath. The rocket lifted off. For a moment, it looked like success was finally within reach. Then, suddenly, a small technical error caused the rocket to explode mid-air. The control room went completely silent. 3 launches. 3 failures. By this point, Elon had spent nearly $100 million trying to make SpaceX work. And now the company only had enough money for one final launch. If the next rocket failed, SpaceX would disappear forever. At the same time, Elon was fighting another battle. While SpaceX struggled to survive, his second company was also collapsing. Tesla. When Elon first entered the space industry, he was also studying the automobile market. He realized something dangerous. Almost every car in the world depended on fossil fuels. And fossil fuels were running out. Worse, they were causing massive pollution across the planet. Elon believed the world needed a new type of car, a car powered by electricity. But just like SpaceX, Tesla was also fighting for survival. and Elon Musk was about to risk everything. At that time, Elon Musk believed something most people didn't. He believed that one day every government in the world would move toward clean energy transportation. To him, the future of cars was clear. Electric vehicles were coming. But in the early 2000s, electric cars had a terrible reputation. A few companies had already tried to introduce them. One example was General Motors' EV1. However, these early electric cars had major problems. They were slow, very expensive, and could travel only short distances before needing to recharge. Because of these issues, most of them failed in the market. After several disappointments, big automobile companies started losing interest in electric vehicles. They returned to what they knew best: gasoline-powered cars. But Elon saw the situation differently. He realized something very important. If electric cars were ever going to succeed, they couldn't just be as good as gasoline cars. They had to be better. Better in speed, better in range, better in price. And most importantly, they had to become something people dreamed of owning. Then Elon discovered a small startup that shared the same vision. That company was Tesla, Incorporated. Tesla had been founded by two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Their idea was bold. Instead of building a boring electric car, they wanted to create a high-performance electric sports car called the Tesla Roadster, first generation. At the time, most electric cars used heavy lead-acid batteries. But Tesla's engineers made a groundbreaking discovery. If they wanted the Roadster to charge faster and travel around 300 kilometers on a single charge, they would need to use the same technology found in phones and laptops: lithium-ion batteries. This idea was revolutionary. Even more impressive, Tesla planned for the Roadster to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4 seconds. That meant an electric car that was not only clean but incredibly fast. And in terms of design and features, it would look more like a luxury sports car than a typical electric vehicle. When Elon heard this vision, he was fascinated. In 2004, he invested $6.5 million into Tesla and became the company's largest investor and chairman. But having a great vision was one thing. Building the car was another challenge entirely. Lithium-ion battery technology was still very new, and adapting it for use in a car was extremely difficult. The engineering challenges were massive. At first, Tesla believed they could sell each Roadster for around $65,000. But as development continued, the costs kept rising. By 2007, the cost of producing just one car had climbed to nearly $100,000. If they continued like this, Tesla's entire business model would collapse. Realizing how serious the situation was, Elon stepped in and took a much more active role in the company. Eventually, he became the CEO of Tesla. But just as he was preparing to turn things around, another disaster struck. In 2008, the world was hit by the global financial crisis. The crisis devastated the automobile industry. Investors were terrified, money disappeared, and companies began collapsing everywhere. Elon had already invested almost all of his money into Tesla and SpaceX. When Tesla needed more funding to survive, many investors refused to help. Suddenly, Tesla was running out of cash. And the company that wanted to change the future of transportation was now on the edge of bankruptcy. In 2008, Elon Musk was facing the most dangerous moment of his life as an entrepreneur. On one side, his rocket company SpaceX was on the edge of collapse after 3 failed rocket launches. On the other side, his electric car startup Tesla was running out of money and days away from bankruptcy. Both companies needed millions of dollars to survive. Any logical entrepreneur would have saved one company and let the other fail. But Elon Musk didn't think that way. Instead of choosing between them, he decided to risk everything. He sold his McLaren F1 along with other personal assets and poured the remaining money into Tesla just to keep the company alive a little longer. At the same time, he turned his full attention to SpaceX's final chance, the fourth launch of the Falcon 9 rocket. If this launch failed, SpaceX would be finished. Years of work gone. 8 millions of dollars lost. And Elon Musk himself could be completely broke. Finally, in December 2008, the day arrived. The Falcon 9 rocket stood silently on the launch pad. Inside Mission Control, the tension was overwhelming. Everyone knew the truth. The future of SpaceX depended on this single launch. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. The rocket slowly lifted off the ground and began climbing into the sky. First stage separation. Successful. Second stage ignition. Successful. Still, no one in the control room celebrated. They had seen success before and then watched it disappear. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, a message appeared on the screen. Orbit confirmed. For a moment, the room was silent. Then the entire control room exploded with cheers. SpaceX had just made history. SpaceX had become the first private company in the world to send a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit. This success changed everything. Only weeks later, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. The company that had been on the edge of collapse was suddenly one of the most important players in the space industry. But the crisis was not over. While SpaceX was celebrating, Tesla was still struggling to survive. Production was slow. Money was running out. Bankruptcy was only days away. So Elon Musk began calling investors personally. He explained that the car was ready. Thousands of customers had already placed orders. All Tesla needed was enough funding to start mass production. Finally, after weeks of pressure and negotiations, a miracle happened. On Christmas Eve, Tesla received $40 million in emergency funding. The company had been saved just days before collapse. With that money, Tesla began delivering its first electric sports car, the Tesla Roadster. And its success proved something the world once believed was impossible. An electric car could be fast, powerful, long-range, and desirable. But there was a major problem. The first car built by Tesla, the Tesla Roadster, was impressive, but it wasn't built for everyone. It was a two-seat sports car, expensive, and only a small group of people could afford it. Elon Musk knew something important. If Tesla wanted to truly change the auto industry, it couldn't just build luxury toys for the rich. It had to build electric cars for the mass market. So Tesla took the next big step. In 2012, the company introduced the Tesla Model S, a sleek, high-performance electric sedan that shocked the world. The Model S could accelerate from 0 to 97 kilometers per hour in just 4.2 seconds, rivaling many sports cars. And on a single charge, it could travel around 500 kilometers. But performance wasn't the only thing that made the Model S special. This car felt like something from the future. Instead of traditional buttons and controls, the dashboard featured a massive 17-inch touchscreen, that controlled almost everything: lighting, climate, navigation, music, and more. It was almost like driving a smartphone on wheels. Even more impressive, the car could receive software updates over the air, just like a laptop or phone. New features and improvements could appear overnight. And the design was full of small, futuristic touches, like the door handles that would automatically pop out when you approached the car. The result? The Model S wasn't just a good electric car. It was better than many gasoline cars on the road. The world noticed. Shortly after its release, the Model S was named Car of the Year by Motor Trend. Tesla's reputation exploded. By 2013, the company had finally become profitable. Then, the momentum continued. Tesla launched new vehicles, the Tesla Model X, Tesla Model 3, and Tesla Model Y, bringing electric cars to millions of drivers around the world. By 2017, Tesla had grown into the most valuable car company on Earth. And the ambition didn't stop there. Today, Tesla is pushing closer to fully self-driving cars, a technology that could completely change how people travel. But Elon Musk wasn't only thinking about roads. He was also looking toward space. Through SpaceX, Musk launched the powerful Falcon 9 rocket, capable of carrying far more cargo into orbit than earlier designs. Then came a revolutionary breakthrough. In 2015, SpaceX successfully developed reusable rockets, meaning the same rocket could land back on Earth and fly again, dramatically reducing the cost of space travel. Soon after, SpaceX began launching thousands of satellites under the Starlink network, delivering high-speed internet to remote areas across the globe. And now, the company is building its most ambitious project yet, the massive Starship rocket, designed to carry humans to Mars. Meanwhile, Musk continues exploring new ways to transform transportation on Earth through ventures like the Boring Company and the high-speed transportation concept known as Hyperloop. Because for Elon Musk, the mission has never been just about building companies. It's about reshaping the future of humanity. In 2015, Elon Musk launched Neuralink, a company working on brain-computer interface technology. The goal is extraordinary: implant tiny chips into the human brain so people can communicate directly with computers. Years later, Elon made another surprising move. In 2022, he bought Twitter, later rebranding it as X, stepping directly into the social media world. At the same time, he launched xAI, an artificial intelligence company aiming to compete in the global AI race. Because of these bold ventures, along with Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk has often ranked as the richest person in the world, with a fortune estimated around $400 billion, nearly double the wealth of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. But Elon's journey is not only about success. It is also filled with controversy. Many employees have spoken about extremely demanding work conditions and intense pressure inside his companies. After taking control of X, thousands of employees were laid off almost immediately, shocking the tech world. His tweets have also moved markets. Sometimes, a single post from Elon has caused massive changes in stock prices. He has even entered the political spotlight. Reports say he donated hundreds of millions of dollars to election campaigns and has developed connections with figures like Donald Trump. Because of this, critics argue that Elon now holds a powerful combination of technology, money, and influence, something that makes many people both fascinated and concerned. But whether people admire him or criticize him, one thing is undeniable: you can love him, you can hate him, But you simply cannot ignore him. Because Elon Musk is not the type of person who waits for the future to arrive. He tries to build the future himself. This was the story of Elon Musk. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to watch the next video on this channel.